The stadium was packed. Thousands of eager spectators filled the stands, their eyes locked on the shimmering blue water, unaware they were seconds away from witnessing horror unfold. On that scorching summer afternoon at Ocean World Orlando, two trainers, Marina Lisaro and Ethan Blake, stepped onto the stage with practiced confidence. To the world, they were symbols of trust, skill, and the extraordinary bond between human and predator. Marina, 33, was a veteran, known for her quiet strength and unmatched connection with Neela, the powerful female orca she had trained for over a decade. Ethan, just 29, was the park's rising star, full of passion, daring, and a dream of mastering the impossible with Taro, the largest whale in the tank. They believed they understood the creatures beneath them, but in the space of a single heartbeat, that belief shattered. The water turned violent. The giants they trusted turned on them, and within moments, a celebrated performance became a fight for survival, one neither of them would win. If this story makes you question the price of entertainment, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories the world tried to forget.
For them, the ocean wasn't just a place. It was everything. A dream, an obsession, an irresistible call from the depths where only the daring could tread. Marina Lisaro and Ethan Blake were exactly those kinds of people. Two young, talented trainers. Their hearts burned with passion for the most powerful creatures the sea had ever birthed. Killer whales. Marina had devoted her life to the ocean. At 33 years old, with over a decade at Ocean World Orlando, she wasn't just famous for her flawless performances. She possessed something rare, the ability to connect with predators most people feared. It was said that between Marina and Neela, the 8,000-pound orca, existed an invisible bond, an understanding deeper than commands or hand signals. They communicated with glances, subtle movements beneath the shimmering water. Ethan Blake, at 29, brought youthful boldness and a hunger for greatness to the stage. His sea blue eyes and confident smile quickly made him a rising star at the park. But beneath his charisma was years of relentless training, building trust, day by day, with Taro, the massive male orca whose sheer strength made even the bravest trainers wary. Together, they were the pride of Ocean World. Every show was a dance between man and nature, strength and grace, trust and danger. Thousands of spectators filled the stadium, mesmerized by the impossible feats, the soaring leaps, the synchronized spins, the illusion that human and predator moved as one. But the ocean has its own laws. No matter how much you love it, no matter how deeply you believe you understand it, beneath that glassy surface always lurk unseen currents. And sometimes, trust is as fragile as sea foam, shimmering, beautiful, but gone in an instant. They didn't know that on that day, as the spotlights blazed and the applause thundered, cracks were already forming in their perfect world. Beneath the seemingly calm waters, a predator was waiting, and soon, the dream they fought so hard to build would shatter. Beneath every flawless performance lies a truth most choose to ignore. Wild animals never forget what they are. No matter how polished the routines, how dazzling the tricks, an instinct older than time simmers quietly below. Marina knew that better than anyone. She had spent over a decade working with Neela, the powerful female orca, captured off the icy shores of Iceland, transformed from apex predator to star attraction. Their bond was legendary. Colleagues whispered about their connection, how Marina could guide Neela with nothing but a glance, how they moved as one in the water. To the public, It was magic. The perfect harmony between human and beast. But those closest to the tanks saw what the audience couldn't: the cracks beneath the surface. Neela had a history. Incidents dismissed, red flags buried beneath corporate smiles and cheering crowds. The occasional tail slap, a sudden refusal to follow commands, the subtle clicks of frustration echoing through the pool, signs written in the language of whales, ignored by those unwilling to listen. Ethan had watched it all unfold. As the park's rising star, he idolized Marina, admired her confidence, her ability to tame the wild, or so it seemed. But even he couldn't deny what he'd witnessed: the shift in Neela's behavior, the restless pacing along the pool's edge, the tension hidden beneath each trick. And it wasn't just Neela. Taro, the enormous male orca under Ethan's care, carried the same invisible scars. His power was undeniable, his performances calculated, yet laced with unpredictability. There were moments when his dark eyes seemed to flicker with something ancient, something that no amount of training could erase. The higher-ups brushed it all aside. Normal animal behavior, they insisted. Minor disobedience, nothing more. But beneath the scripted shows, the rehearsed applause, nature simmered dangerously close to the surface. Marina and Ethan believed they understood their whales, believed love, patience, and years of routine had built an unbreakable trust. But trust, when tested against raw instinct, is fragile. And in the captive world of Ocean World Orlando, where wild hearts are caged behind glass, the illusion of control can crumble without warning. Neither of them realized it yet, but the warning signs weren't just whispers anymore. They were growing louder, and the price for ignoring them would soon be impossible to pay. The sun blazed mercilessly over Ocean World Orlando. It was the kind of summer afternoon where the air hummed with heat. The scent of salt and chlorine clung to every surface, and thousands of eager visitors filled the stadium, unaware they were about to witness a nightmare. The show was called Dance with Giants, the park's signature performance, promising breathtaking choreography between human and apex predator. It was the moment every tourist came for, cameras ready, children wide-eyed with wonder. The trainers were stars, the whales, flawless performers, or so the illusion went. Backstage, Marina tightened her wetsuit, her expression focused but calm. Years of experience had made her a master at hiding nerves. Beside her, Ethan ran a hand through his damp hair, forcing a smile as adrenaline surged beneath his skin. Today's act was ambitious, the culmination of months of training. A synchronized routine where both Neela and Taro would lift their trainers from the water in perfect harmony. A display of trust, power, control, or so they hoped. The music swelled as Marina and Ethan stepped onto the platform, the audience erupting in cheers. Sunlight glinted off the shimmering pool, making the water look deceptively peaceful. But beneath the surface, something stirred, something no one could yet see. Neela surfaced first, her immense black and white body sliced through the water with practiced grace, yet her movements carried an unfamiliar tension. Marina's trained eyes noticed it, the slight hesitation, the shallow dive, the flick of her tail sharper than usual. But the show had begun. There was no turning back. Taro followed, his towering dorsal fin cutting a path through the pool. Ethan signaled, expecting the routine to flow as rehearsed. But Taro's response was slower. His gaze lingered, dark and unreadable. Marina extended her hand, signaling Neela to approach. The orca obeyed, at first, gliding toward her trainer, the crowd roaring in approval. But then, the rhythm broke. With a sudden, jarring movement, Neela veered off course. Her massive head lunged sideways, jaws parting. Before Marina could react, her arm was caught in the grip of teeth sharp as blades. The audience gasped, unsure if it was part of the act. Simultaneously, Taro surged upward beneath Ethan, but not in the practiced lift they had rehearsed 100 times. His body twisted violently, sending Ethan crashing into the water with terrifying force. Panic rippled across the arena. Marina struggled, her face contorted in shock and pain as Neela's grip tightened, dragging her toward the depths. Ethan resurfaced briefly, but Taro's immense form circled, muscles coiled, eyes cold. The crowd screamed. What was supposed to be a celebration of trust had unraveled in seconds. The perfect choreography shattered. The water, once calm, began to stain with red. And above the chaos, one horrifying truth settled in. The giants they thought they controlled had never truly been tamed. The screams echoed like thunder across the arena. Families clutched one another. Children buried their faces. Yet no one could look away. The spectacle of strength and grace had morphed into a brutal fight for survival. Marina's body thrashed violently in the water, her arms still clamped in Neela's powerful jaws. Her face, usually so composed, so calm, was twisted in agony and disbelief. This wasn't happening. Not Neela, not the whale she trusted with her life. But beneath the surface, trust meant nothing. Only raw instinct remained. Marina tried to pull free, but Neela's grip tightened, wrenching her beneath the surface. The crowd gasped as she disappeared into the shimmering blue, only to re-emerge seconds later, gasping for air, eyes wide with terror. Her free hand flailed toward the edge of the pool, but salvation was out of reach. Ethan, disoriented and bleeding from the impact, barely managed to resurface. His chest heaved with panicked breaths as Taro circled like a silent shadow beneath him. There was no time to think, no time to process the horror unraveling around him. Suddenly, the water beneath Ethan erupted. Taro's massive body surged upward, jaws gaping. In a flash of muscle and teeth, the whale clamped down on Ethan's torso, dragging him under with terrifying force. The water churned red. Spectators shrieked, some collapsing to their knees, others scrambling toward the exits. Yet all eyes were drawn to the pool, the stage of a deadly betrayal unfolding in real time. Emergency sirens wailed as trainers and staff rushed to the water's edge, shouting commands, throwing nets, pounding on the platforms in a desperate attempt to distract the whales. But Neela and Taro were beyond reach, locked in the ancient rhythm of predator and prey, a rhythm no human could interrupt. Marina's face broke the surface once more, pale and bloodied, gasping for breath. Her eyes darted across the crowd, wide with disbelief, silently pleading for help. But no one could save her. Neela's immense body coiled beneath, dragging her down, deeper into the cold. A final strangled cry escaped her lips before the water closed in. Ethan never resurfaced. The pool, once a stage for wonder and applause, had transformed into a battlefield. Two trainers, icons of trust, symbols of human dominance over nature, were now powerless, consumed by the very creatures they thought they understood. The cheers were gone. Only horror remained. And in those final, excruciating moments, the illusion shattered. Beneath the surface, wild hearts cannot be caged. And even love is no shield against the fury of the ocean. The water, once shimmering and pristine, now swirled with crimson ribbons of blood. The joyful music had stopped. The laughter was gone. All that remained was the chaotic sound of sirens, panicked cries, and the haunting silence that followed each desperate moment. Seconds turned into eternity as staff scrambled to regain control. Whistles blared, metal gates slammed shut, and ropes were cast across the pool, but it was already too late. 2 trainers had vanished beneath the surface. Their absence was deafening. Then, Marina's body emerged. She floated limp, face pale as marble, blood seeping from deep wounds along her arm and torso. Her eyes, once bright with confidence and life, stared glassy and unblinking toward the cloudless sky. Her lips were slightly parted, as though her final breath still lingered, unfinished. A stunned gasp rippled through the crowd. Parents shielded their children's eyes. Others clutched their mouths in horror. For a moment, the entire arena froze, paralyzed by the unthinkable. Rescue teams rushed to her side, pulling Marina onto the slick concrete. Her body was motionless. Paramedics fell to their knees, performing frantic chest compressions. Breaths forced into her lungs, but the silence was louder than any heartbeat. She was gone. In the distance, Taro surfaced, circling the pool like a ghost. His massive frame glided effortlessly through the blood-tinged water, eyes dark, unreadable. There was no sign of Ethan. Divers plunged into the depths, their flashlights slicing through the blue abyss, but the water yielded nothing but shadows. Minutes passed. The hope drained from their faces with every dive. On the surface, chaos reigned. Guests screamed, rushing toward the exits. The stadium, once a monument to human control over nature, was now a graveyard of broken illusions. Neela hovered near the pool's edge, silent and still. Her immense body bobbed with the water's rhythm, but her eyes, cold, wild, held no remorse, only the quiet certainty of a predator reclaiming its nature. The park fell into lockdown. Police arrived. News helicopters circled above, their blades slicing the humid air as reporters scrambled to capture the unfolding tragedy. For Ocean World, this was no longer entertainment. It was a disaster broadcast to the world. Marina Lisaro, once a symbol of human connection with the ocean's mightiest hunters, was lifeless on the cold concrete. Ethan Blake had vanished beneath the depths, another life swallowed by captivity's cruel illusion. And beneath the cheers, beneath the rehearsed routines and polished smiles, one truth echoed louder than ever. No amount of trust can tame the wild. The stadium stood empty, eerily silent. Hours earlier, it had echoed with laughter, music, and the thunder of applause. Now, blood-stained towels lay abandoned along the pool's edge. Security tape fluttered in the humid Florida breeze. The water, though filtered and clear again, could not wash away the horror that had unfolded beneath its surface. News of the tragedy spread faster than any performance ever had. Breaking: Orca attack kills 2 trainers at Ocean World Orlando. Deadly incident exposes dark secrets of captivity industry. Dream turns to nightmare for Marina Lisaro and Ethan Blake. Television screens lit up across the nation. Social media flooded with shock, outrage, and grief. Video clips, shaky, raw, captured by horrified tourists, circulated within minutes. Marina's limp body pulled onto the concrete. The blood, the screams, the chaos. The polished image of Ocean World shattered in an instant. Behind closed doors, executives scrambled for damage control. Lawyers drafted statements. PR teams rehearsed the same hollow lines. Unforeseen accident. Our hearts go out to the families. Safety remains our top priority. But no words could undo what the world had witnessed. Whispers turned to roars. Animal rights groups mobilized overnight. Protesters gathered at the park's gates by morning, holding signs dripping with harsh truth. Captivity kills. Blood beneath the surface. How many more must die? The illusion was broken. Years of hidden reports resurfaced. Warnings ignored. Aggressive incidents buried beneath paperwork and corporate smiles. Trainers had whispered of fear, of unpredictable behavior, of animals whose instincts could never truly be silenced. And now, 2 more lives paid the price for that silence. Marina Lisaro, the woman who believed love and understanding could conquer nature, was gone. Ethan Blake, the rising star with boundless passion for the ocean, vanished beneath the same waters he once called home. Their faces adorned candlelit vigils outside the park, flowers piled along the gates. But beneath the grief simmered something darker. Rage, betrayal, the uncomfortable realization that no tank, no training, no amount of human arrogance could ever truly control a predator born for the wild. The world had watched 2 trainers dance with giants, but when the music stopped, the ocean reminded everyone it was never a performance. It was always survival. And nature never forgets. The investigation began before the water had even stilled. Within hours, Ocean World Orlando became a crime scene. Government officials, marine experts, and safety inspectors flooded the park. Questions circled like vultures. How could 2 experienced trainers, working with animals they knew so intimately, die so violently? The answers were buried beneath years of silence. Internal reports surfaced, confidential files detailing prior incidents with both Neela and Taro. Pages of behavioral red flags, missed cues, sudden aggression, defiant refusals during rehearsals. Incidents that were downplayed, dismissed, or worse, erased. Former employees stepped forward, their testimonies damning. They spoke of pressure from management to keep performances flawless, to ignore warning signs for the sake of profit. They described the quiet fear that lingered behind the staged smiles, the whispered concerns about animals showing increasing frustration, signs of captivity slowly eroding their minds. Records revealed Neela had a history of aggression, dating back years. Taro, too, had demonstrated unpredictable behavior, yet both remained centerpieces of the park's most dangerous shows. The illusion of control was carefully manufactured, until it wasn't. Now, the facade had collapsed. 2 trainers gone, a global audience horrified, and a company scrambling to contain the fallout. But the damage was done. The world finally saw what lay beneath the polished surface, a dangerous truth hidden behind applause, behind the glass walls of the tanks. Trust had been betrayed, warnings ignored, and for Marina and Ethan, the price was irreversible. Days turned to weeks, yet the wounds refused to heal. Ocean World, Orlando remained closed, its gates chained, its pools drained, its once vibrant stadium now a hollow shell echoing with the ghosts of applause. Memorials lined the fences, flowers wilted in the summer heat, photographs of Marina and Ethan faded beneath flickering candlelight. But beyond the grief, a storm was brewing. Protests erupted worldwide. Crowds demanded change. Animal rights groups flooded the media with images of Neela and Taro, confined, circling endlessly in barren tanks, far smaller than their instincts required. Hashtags trended globally. Free the orcas. justice for Marina and Ethan, end captivity. Now, investigations deepened. Whistleblowers revealed how profits had overshadowed safety, how executives had silenced concerns, how generations of whales lived and died behind walls of glass, their aggression building like pressure beneath the surface. And now, the consequences could no longer be contained. Marina's family spoke publicly, their voices heavy with heartbreak but fueled by purpose. Ethan's parents stood beside them, demanding accountability. They didn't want revenge. They wanted truth. They wanted change, so no other family would endure the same nightmare. Ocean World faced lawsuits, government sanctions, and a crumbling reputation. But the deeper wound, the betrayal of trust between humans and nature, could not be undone. Neela and Taro remained confined, their futures uncertain. The world watched, divided between outrage and sorrow. But one truth rose above the noise. Wild hearts cannot be tamed. Marina and Ethan believed love, patience, and understanding could overcome instinct. But captivity distorts nature. It breaks spirits. It turns awe into tragedy. And now, their lives were the final, irreversible reminder. Some creatures were never meant to dance for our applause. If this story has made you question the price of captivity, I urge you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe wild animals belong behind glass walls? Or is it time we end this illusion of control? Your voice matters. The tragedy of Marina Lisaro and Ethan Blake is not an isolated incident. It's a devastating symptom of a system built on exploitation. They weren't reckless. They were passionate, skilled, and believed in the bond between human and whale. But nature cannot be caged without consequence. Neela and Taro were never villains. They were prisoners of a life they never chose. 2 lives lost, countless warnings ignored, and a world finally forced to confront the brutal truth. When we confine the wild, we gamble with lives, both human and an animal. The question now isn't if tragedy will strike again, it's when.